What's going on, guys? Welcome to Victims and Villains. If you guys are new to our content, we create content like what you're watching right now simply to educate and engage individuals like yourselves on mental health awareness and suicide prevention through pop culture. My name is Captain Nostalgia. I'm a writer, podcaster, and the director of our film festival, Horrific Hope. First festival of its kind to be horror-centric and mental health focused. If you guys would like to submit your screenplays, short films, feature films, and nightmares, click the links in the descriptions below. Down there also you'll find links to our social media, podcast network, more movie reviews like this, and most importantly, our mental health resource library. After 6 long years, the much anticipated sequel to 2016's cult classic Terrifier returns and resurrects Art the Clown for another night and year of mischief. This is Terrifier 2. Terrifier 2 takes place 1 year after the events of the first film and basically follows a Sienna as she's preparing for this year's Halloween and has a mysterious connection to Art the Clown. To start off by saying that when it comes to movies like this, I feel like, yes, people are coming here to see Art the Clown. That is the reason that you are going to buy a ticket to this. This is the reason that you're going to subscribe to Screambox. This is the reason that you're going to do XYZ and possibly even down the line buy this on Blu-ray or DVD. You are coming for Art the Clown. Final girl in this movie is just as worthy of conversation as Art the Clown in this movie, played wonderfully by Lauren LeVera. She does a great job, and I probably am saying this way prematurely, but she is easily one of the best original final girls that we have seen in the 21st century. Her arc throughout the course of this movie goes from being this emotionally damaged teenage girl to kind of having to be a strong, heroic character, and the use of foreshadowing in this movie is exceptional, and to see LeVera bring this character to life is even more incredible. The emotion that Terrifier 2 has specifically with Sienna's character that we don't see in either of the previous 2 feature film lengths we've seen from Art the Clown in All Hallows Eve and the original Terrifier. I think I have this love-hate relationship with Terrifier 2 and the scope of the story, because when you look at Terrifier 1, it's this really straightforward story. You know, 2 girls, one has to use the restroom and they find themselves against Art the Clown in a really creepy apartment building. That is the essence of the first film, and here, when you take away that singular location, you start to beef up the lore and also start to demonstrate some of how big and really start to flesh out a lot of the Miles County area. It is both a good and bad thing. This movie is 140 minutes long, and I am not one to complain about runtime, but my biggest thing with runtime is if you're going to have a movie that long, it has to keep me engaged for the entire time. Like, there can't be any downtime, and this movie has a lot of dead air. Scoping out the world of Miles County, this is where the film kind of really fumbles, because in theory, you're presenting something that is really terrifying. To have this movie take place on Halloween, also to have this deceased, now resurrected clown in Art be resurrected to kind of, blend in with the other costume trick-or-treaters, I think that approach to storytelling is absolutely brilliant. In a way, tries to kind of take the Halloween 1978 route, where it's essentially the bulk of it takes place on Halloween night, but you're still having kind of the day before and even the hours leading up to the trick-or-treating kind of take place, and that's really where this movie really kind of loses a lot of its footing. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to come across like I'm complaining about the 2.5 hour runtime. This movie honestly probably could have been under 20 minutes and could have been truly like one of the best horror films of this year. The movie probably runs on 20 to 30 minutes longer than it has to. Damien Leone, this is probably the most ambitious film that he has done to date. When you look at his few other entries that are worth notable, All Hallows Eve and the original 2016 Terrifier, both of those are under an hour and a half, and this is nearly pushing 2.5 hours. I appreciate the ambition that Leon does in this movie. I think some of the deaths in this movie, I'll talk about those in a second, they're gutsier, they really work, they're the stronger elements of this movie, but when it comes to a narrative standpoint, there are aspects of this movie that just could have been dropped and the story would have still been the same and would have actually been a whole lot tighter. The reason you clicked on this video, you wanted to hear, does Art the Clown get bigger and better with this movie? And let me start off by saying that while the runtime does boast that bigger doesn't always mean better, with Art the Clown, bigger always does mean better. Thornton does an astonishing job at just reinvigorating and reminding people why Art the Clown is arguably one of the best slasher icons that is in modern day horror. Creepy, he's funny, but also at the same time, he is absolutely menacing. Probably one of the most surprising elements of this is that he kind of has a little sidekick, and she's creepy as they come, and arguably foreshadows one of the most eerie moments in the film's finale. With Thornton returning as Art the Clown, it also allows for Leone to get really creative when it comes to the film's gags and deaths. One of the creepiest and funnest deaths that take place in this movie is someone uses a head as a candy dish for trick-or-treaters. While I've had ups and downs with Leone's film career, I really admire his just keen eye for creativity, his ability to take the slasher genre and completely reinvent it. Every time that he brings Art the Clown back to the screen is just a absolutely amazing feat that he is just hats off. Few minutes ago about how this movie feels like it runs on a little bit too long, and as a result, the pacing is kind of awkward. The center of the story is Sienna's family, who's recently lost their father, and you're kind of seeing how their grieving process has kind of affected them getting ready for Halloween. But there's a lot that happens with this plot, and that never has any resolution. One of my biggest pet peeves about this movie is that I felt like they were centering this subplot up to be part of the climax and part of kind of running parallel to Art's mayhem, and it just does nothing. Something cool that happens in the finale that tries to attempt to connect the two storylines, but aside from like being a cool visual spectacle, it doesn't really bring anything to the narrative as a whole. And just being a cinephile, I also just want to mention this because I feel like I would be doing this movie a terrible injustice if I didn't bring this up. This movie looks stunning. There's no way an independent movie of this caliber should look as pretty as this movie does. Photography by George Struber in this movie, returning from the original Terrifier, absolutely just looks all breathtaking, jaw-dropping, like just out of this world. It is so freaking pretty. I knew like something like a slasher could look as warm and inviting as Terrifier 2 does, and that's partially why I feel like the deaths in this movie are that much more impactful, is because this looks like it's lit like you would light a drama. The colors pop and a lot more of the scary elements actually feel scary. Rorschach rating scale, I'm going to give Terrifier 2 a 3.5 out of 5. I think this movie is a lot of fun. It has a lot of great deaths. It has a strong cast to it. Pacing's a little bit all over the place, and that's a result of its bloated runtime. I really wish this movie would have done more with its storylines and connecting them. But overall, this was a pleasant surprise, and this is sure to be a great crowd pleaser when it hits theaters this Thursday, October 6th. You guys looking forward to Terrifier 2? Do you guys love Art the Clown? Make sure that you guys comment below. Let me know. Did you like Terrifier? Have you seen Terrifier? Make sure that you guys comment. Let's talk Art the Clown on this video. But let's talk about mental health. Our content, Mental Health Moment, is where we take a theme of mental health and talk about it for just a few moments and hope to deconstruct the stigma surrounding mental health. As I mentioned previously, main character and the main family really that we follow has recently experienced the death of a husband/father. Interesting to look at how grief is kind of manifested, how the three characters at the center of the story kind of really all respond to it. Oldest daughter Sienna is diving into creativity and is finding an outlet in the arts. I've been diving deeper into work. Just a small critique of the mom character, a little bit overacted, but also at the same time, she's kind of, it's hard to talk about mental health with her character in particular because she's kind of written very paper thin. Then you have the younger brother played by Jonathan, who dives into a weird obsession with true crime. Speak on that for a second because I feel like I can absolutely speak for that. On my Riot forum, I have a film reel, and the reason why I love movies so much and that I identify as a cinephile is because when I was Jonathan's age, I lost my grandmother. My grieving process was to dive into the world of film and learn everything I can in order to escape. While there are some healthy advantages to escaping into the arts, and there are also other areas of grief that are a little bit troublesome and a little bit worrisome that can create things like burnout, violent behavior that we see with Mom and Jonathan. Right or wrong way to grieve. Point. That's it. I would say that something like investigating and diving into true crime is troublesome and can be a little bit worrisome. Just listening and reading is, again, it could just be a phase, but also, keep an eye on the people you love and their grieving process. Death hits us all differently, and I think that there's this weird societal expectation that grief has to be done an ABC kind of way, and sometimes it looks like HGI kind of way, or MNO kind of way, or XYZ kind of way, and it really proves at the end of the day that as long as we're taking care of our mental health and doing something that's actually going to be beneficial to our mental health throughout the grieving process, to just let us grieve and just let us have it our own way. This was an encouragement to anyone that's watching this right now that might currently be going through grieving. Make sure that you guys check the links in our descriptions below to check out our mental health resource library. Terrifier 2 opens up this Thursday, October 6th, in over 700 theaters nationwide, from Cinedigm and Bloody Disgusting and Screambox. Make sure that you guys check the links in the descriptions below to get your tickets. If you guys get a chance to see this, make sure that you guys come back and let me know what you guys thought about this movie. Make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button. We'll be back later this month talking about all things spooky. So make sure that you guys hit the subscribe button on this channel and subscribe wherever you get your podcast from so you do not miss a creepy build moment.